do have to go to school at the end of that season, and we're grateful for the service that they give. And that brings up another question, and that is about seniority. Obviously, you have senior guards who are out there. So my question would be the promotion process. As outlined in the present contract, they still have an evaluation process, but it also in some promotion that this is granted based on the discretion of the city manager and or the chief. So my question is, are we using the evaluations in any way for the promotion? Because obviously we want to make sure that we promote as many people as possible. How is the promotion, how is this being used? And then also, what was the rationale behind not allowing for, I guess, a clarification in the language with respect to this discretionary clause? Why haven't we outlined that and put that in writing to create more of a checks and balances in that situation?
It's a fair point on both, by the way, and that's something that we're working on. We've been able to gain more ground with the officers union, frankly, than the lifeguards today. That doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. To the extent the evaluations are being utilized, that's something that has been sporadic, I'd say, and something that we need to work on going forward in the future. But in terms of discretion, one of the things that the officers union agreed to is to eliminate the chief's discretion, which helps the city operationally in terms of generating a central point of control over the unit. The lifeguards is a bit more amorphous, and that's why I'm saying it's something that we do admittedly have to work on moving forward.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else?
Yes, a couple of questions. Chapter, the 7A of the contract guarantees, well, both contracts guarantees some of the employees 48 to 50-hour work weeks. What's the normal start time on a work week? So beach closes at 6, what's the normal start time?
I think it's 9:40.
Is it?
Is it? I think it's between 8 and 9.
I heard 8.
Yeah.
It starts at 8:40 for regular guards, and it starts at 8:30 for the guard. Guards
Okay.
work a 10-hour day, and the regular guards work a 9.5 hours.
Thank you.
So, okay, so, because my question is do they have to work more than 5 days to hit their 50 hours? If they're not an officer?
Or just lifeguards. I think so, but I guess it depends on it depends on their work week also.
All right, well,
Yeah.
let me tell you what I'm trying to figure out, there's a conflict between 7A and 7B.
Okay.
But 7A pays time and a half if they go after 6, but if the only way to get their guaranteed minimum is to go after 6, I'm just trying to figure out how those two jobs.
That's correct. It's correct, and that's the day goes to 6. If it's forced overtime, then that's going to be time and a half. There's only one shift. Keep it simple that way, there's only one shift. If you have multiple shifts, then you have to hire at least 40% more labor.
No, I'm not asking that much, but what I'm saying is to hit 50 hours,
That's the office.
do they have, no, it's in the headquarters personnel, the guaranteed 50
Right.
hours.
Because they're reporting to headquarters.
Would you like to come up?
No, just to clarify.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. I know you've been on the chair for a long time. Just come up to the microphone and just state your name and address for the record.
John Stewart Long. What was the question again?
What I'm trying to figure out is, if they guaranteed 50 hours, will that force them to work past 6 to hit their minimum? Or can they do it by the time the beach closes each day at 6?
No, they don't go.
That's what I was just trying to ask.
Yeah. But we all go over 50, like everybody goes over wherever.
Yeah,
But because the personnel at headquarters has to get up there, get there early to get all the equipment out, so they can set up when the guards arrive. And that's why they're there 10 hours minimum.
that's what I was just trying to clarify, because this, the way it's worded, it could be, I perceived there could be a conflict between paragraph 7A and 7B.
Okay.
So I was just trying to get clarity.
Okay. Anything else?
Now, Is there something you want
No,
to add?
I think he cleared it up, but if you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else from the council? Any comments from the public? Anyone? Sure, come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ray Omer, 560 West Broadway. Just want to say, I think the Palm Beach Lifeguard Patrol is one of the best lifeguard organizations in the world. And it's not just because they're great swimmers or they can run or they know what a rip current is or they can do CPR. But in the chief's log each year, they do over 100,000 preventative actions. And that's what makes them the best in the world. They can recognize a beach, look at 3 beaches, and know the bottom, they know where the rip currents are. And as part of this collective bargaining agreement, we have a work crew that was increased from $11 to $14 an hour. It's almost $1 below the minimum wage, and it's going to be in New York City. But with that being said, is that crew is on when the lifeguards are not on duty. And that crew goes out on rescues. And what we have here is, we also have a late shift crew that works from 6 to 8 p.m. They're on call. But the water experts know that if a person is in trouble, you have 2 minutes to get to them. Two. And in order to guard 4.2 miles, you have to see the victim to rescue the victim. Now, we have lifeguards who make $14 an hour. We have the manpower and the women power. We have the equipment of four-wheel quads. We have surfboards. We have radios. If we only had 8 of them patrolling during off hours during the months of June, July, August, and September, we could prevent off-season drownings by 90%. And I only bring this up now because we're talking about, these are the lifeguards. We have the equipment, we have the knowledge, we can cover the beaches. But right now, when the lifeguards are not on duty, the jurisdiction is under the police department. And we have the best police department, we have the best fire department. But the idea of being able to see somebody within 2 minutes and rescue them, our system in off hours can be perfected.
Yep.
And if you look at it and you just put lifeguards on those quads,
Please wrap it up, Mr. Elmer. Your
Yes.
time has expired, and it's also not related to the topic at hand.
well, it's
Please just wrap it up.
it's related to the topic as far as ocean safety.
I know, but we're specifically talking about the CBA, and we have to try and stick to the agenda items. So we really appreciate your comments. There's not one person here that doesn't love our lifeguards. There's not one person here that hasn't seen them make numerous rescues at all times. So your point is well taken, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Is there anyone from the CSEA that would like to come up and speak in regards to the contract negotiations? Yes, come on up.
I didn't plan on coming up here, but, you cut my voice short, so we're gonna stick together.
Please stick to the agenda item, okay?
Yes.
About the
I
contract?
respect it,
Thank you.
but, okay, so basically I have 3 minutes, right? Okay, Philip Aquila, currently homeless. I basically have been lifeguarding here in Long Beach since I was just out of high school. So I started when I was 17, best opportunity great experience. Got to work with NCAA athletes, all D1, great swimmers, you know. So I had a choice though. I had to choose whether I wanted to pursue baseball
Please stick to the agenda.
and
item,
work
okay?
on the
The contract
weekends.
negotiations, we need to stick to
Or
the
work
agenda
on
item,
the
sir.
weekends. So basically, for the people that you said, what she was talking about on the agenda, how there's no opportunities above. You know what I mean? Once there's certain people above us, there's no going up. It's very low ceiling. And I agree with that. I've personally been lifeguarding for like 9, 10 years, and I worked in New Plaza Beach Club before I worked for Long Beach Lifeguard. So I got to look at it a little bit from the outside. And I think Long Beach Lifeguard is better than, just like Ms. Elmo was talking about, it's great. But there are a lot of people in power who are never gonna give me an opportunity. I gave up my dream of playing baseball. And I moved to California, to San Diego and all that, and I tried out for a team. They cut me. I wasn't prepared because I was busy working here. I made $15 when I started at 17. Now, 9 years later, I'm making $18. I'm 225 pounds though. You know what I mean? Like I'm 50 pounds heavier, and I don't see myself getting a promotion unless something gets done. And you know, there's 2 different unions now. You're saying we don't even know that. Nobody tells us anything, and this is my livelihood. This is what I made my life. I have
I understand.
problems with my feet from running on the sand after Sandy, and the sewer waters that was flooded all over the town because the sewers were clogged with sand. So my feet are still deteriorated from that. But this is really my livelihood, and I want you guys to know I appreciate any effort you guys can make to make it so the lifeguards who are out there swimming that 200 yards, that train, 225 pounds. I gotta train my A off to get that done. And all I'm saying is, before the 3 minutes is up, is yes, it needs to be monitored, and the people all above me, even though they're like my representatives, all those people, they're not the ones swimming after your loved ones. I am. And I need money to eat. I need protein, I need carbs, I need pasta, I need all that. I'm homeless. So please help me out, okay? Philip, 657 Neptune was my address. It's getting lifted right now, and everything's a distressing in my family. So I'm sorry, it's coming at you foul, but I really need you guys to monitor this. And $18 an hour. I mean, you guys just raised the taxes through the roof. I just got back from California. I read all the papers and all that.
Thank
And
you.
you know, it all goes away when the sun comes out, and you guys just run to your office. So I'm asking you to pay attention to respect the grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from CSA care to speak? Yes. We got one, we got you. Speak to the contract negotiations. Thank you. Please, your name and address.
Tim Cavazzino, 100 yards away, also a Long Beach High School chemistry and forensics teacher. I just think over the past year and a half, our unit has gone through a full slew of negotiations, talking with the acting city manager, everyone at City Hall. We even negotiated, spoke with the officers in the officers unit. So the fact that we don't know that there are 2 units is not true at all. Everyone's well aware. We have 2 units that are very distinct, officers and lifeguards. What we offer, we protect the biggest investment in the amount of money that the city makes. Every summer, you beach up, people buy beach passes, people go to the beach, they come off the train. We protect the biggest investment that the city gets, at least the money they return back. What we're asking for, I think is very fair. Negotiations for the most part were very, it's pretty seamless. And I think moving forward, unless anyone has any questions about our contract, anything on the agenda to be answered, you can please contact any one of the union officials, which we contact all of our unit members all the time. Otherwise, you know where to find us between May and June. Everyone who goes in the water comes out. That's our job. That's what you pay us to do. You do your job right. You show up on time. There should be no questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Name and address for the record.
I am a lifeguard for many years, 27, and I've seen many negotiations before this one, and I feel to my heart this was done unfairly for many of us. Even though I'm not representing them, I used to represent the lifeguards in the past as the president, and I know how negotiations can be, and it's frustrating at times, and we need to sometimes go the extra mile to help the city out, and we've always done that in the past. And at times of debt crises, we've always did it. I think we are worth more than 1%, and we should be getting what the rest of CSCA units are getting. As far as the promotionary issues, there are issues. There were issues, and there still probably will be issues because we're not using those evaluations properly. And like you said before, we should be working on that like immediately right now. We shouldn't wait any further on that. I would, look into that, try and maybe resolve that so we don't have any future problems. As far as the grievance procedures, we went through that. We've had a good grievance procedure in the past. We went by past practices, what usually the big CSA unit did. They had 60 days to put a grievance in. We didn't put any grievances in past 60 days ever. 27 years I've been there. To put 10 days to give us, to put a grievance in, it's not fair. To go from 60 to 10 is not fair. And we have employees, lifeguarding and on road crew, which are part of the same unit, working for at least 5 months of the year. So compare that to the CSCA big unit. I mean, yes, they are here all year, but we are also occupying jobs and have issues at times, and they should be able to put agreements in and have at least 25 days or 30. As far as the promotion, again, the evaluations in the new grievance procedure. Why are we fast tracking promotions to go to PERB when it's in the contract, the senior guards criteria? I don't feel, and I don't think that there is jurisdiction for PERB to oversee that if it does go to PERB. So I'm kind of, I don't know, bewildered on that, confused. Maybe you can speak to that, I don't know. But from what I've heard, and I've spoken to PERB, and they're pretty confused on it themselves. And also, in the grievance procedure, going over and above just the promotions of senior guard, it says all promotions basically. So I don't know if that has to do anything with lieutenant promotions, going from senior guard to lieutenants. But again, we're overriding what's written in the contract of the officers when it's stated everything's getting fast tracked for.
Thank you. I'll let Corporation Counsel, I guess, DC respond.
Sure, just very quickly, I can answer that question with respect to PERB. There's a distinction between going to PERB, which typically involves an alleged improper labor practice, and using a PERB-assigned arbitrator. They mean a panel of arbitrators from which we selected, and we had a private contract with. So we don't go to PERB with respect, vis-a-vis the grievance procedure. And not in the manner you're suggesting, we simply pick off of a list that's maintained by PERB.
And can you just tell us what PERB stands for those that don't know?
Sure, the Public Employment Relations Board.
Thank you.
Can I say
Anyone
one
else? No, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
It says
Anyone else from the
improper
CSEA care to speak on the contract negotiations? Sure, come on up, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm in senior. Long Beach. The evaluation procedure needs to be in, it can't be up in the air, it needs to be in this contract. And I think you guys should table this for now and really talk it out. You said it yourself, Mr. Steve, it's up in the air. You can't have things like that up in the air. It's extremely important. These guys need a procedure, something to get them to lieutenant one day or senior guard. If it's up in the air, what does it mean? Negotiate it. Go back to the table. Do the right thing. I'm saying table it until you get it together. Thank you.
Thank you. This comes before us after negotiation was agreed upon by both parties. Anyone else care to speak? No, seeing no hands. Next item. Sorry, I didn't see you. Come on up, sir. Name and address for the record.
Lester Long Beach. I guess I'm a little confused. I negotiated for New York State lifeguards for many, many years. And my understanding was the members had voted on this, or was it just the negotiating board that determined this?
The members ratified.
The members did ratify.
Yep.
Okay, there's nothing you can say about that. But I do have a question about the 50 hours. They work 50 hours. I remember both my kids were, well, 3 of my kids were lifeguards, and they work more than 40 hours. How come they don't get overtime?
No, I'm not able to answer.
I can answer that question. It's a collective bargaining agreement that overtime is compensated at straight time unless there's an emergency. So if it's your regularly scheduled hours, your mandatory minimum, you don't get overtime at time and a half. You get overtime at straight time.
But I thought New York State law did not allow that.
And I believe this, they are all governed by a seasonal recreational exception. So
But the seasonal, and I looked into that, the seasonal recreation exception only applies to recreational facilities. It doesn't apply to a municipality.
That's the one that does one with the actual enterprise, that's the terminology they use, but we've researched this question before. I've spoken with the United States Department of Labor about that, and they consider this region a separate enterprise for purposes of this section.
Okay, because I researched it and it wasn't because it was, because it was for employees. Hey, listen, you couldn't afford to run the beach any other way. You know, I understand that. And I would love to see, you know, someone spoke about having lifeguards more of a presence after hours. I've been advocating that for years. It's a black mark on Long Beach every time we have an after-hour drowning. And it's so inexpensive to keep, you know, additional crew after hours. But at some point, I think that should be looked at, that overtime, because I think that could come back and bite us. Like, you know, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else here to speak on the contract ratification for both the units of the lifeguards? No? Seeing no hands? Next item.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing, refunding bond ordinance of the City of Long Beach, New York, authorizing the refunding of all or a portion of certain outstanding serial bonds of said city, starting the plan of refunding appropriating the issuance of $12,200,000 refunding bonds of said city or so much thereof as may be necessary to finance said appropriation and making certain determinations all relative thereto. This item is for publication only, and hearing will be held February 5th at 7 p.m. Now on to the voting. Item 1 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to amend the agreement for architectural and engineering design services for the City of Long Beach bulkheading North Shore project and to amend the budget. Introduce move the adoption of this item. Second? Voting, Councilmember Bennett.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Councilmember Diamond.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to return a retainage payment to Road Work Ahead Incorporated. Introduce move the adoption of this item. Second?
Adam?
Voting, Councilmember Bennett.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Diamond.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding which modifies, amends, and extends the collective bargaining agreement between the Long Beach Civil Service Employees Association Lifeguard Unit and the City of Long Beach. Introduce move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
Oh.
Voting, Councilmember Bennett.
And just to put things in perspective, people that don't understand 1%, they're talking somewhere between a 14 cents and 18 cents per hour raise. Well deserved for people that keep us and our children safe on the beach all season. So thank you for what you do, and I vote yes.
I just want to make it clear, I have to ask questions because it's not just about those individuals who are affected by the contract, but all of us in terms of how we use our resources. I want to take a moment to applaud all of you who are here and all of your fellow members in terms of all of the young men, the women, all of those who work diligently to protect and serve our community. We appreciate you. We applaud all of your efforts. However, I just want to once again emphasize it's very important that we make sure that all of the members feel that same level of protection. And I hope that we will continue to look at that evaluation process in the future. Your service is invaluable. You are the best crew, not only here in Long Beach, but in the nation. We appreciate you. With that, I vote yes. our Corporation Counsel's Office, as well as the negotiating team from, I'll say for each of the unions, this will apply for this item, as well as the next item, for negotiating a deal that protects both the taxpayers as well as the individual members of each unit who work so hard and have done an outstanding job of protecting our residents, in particular over the last couple of summers, which has posed all sorts of challenges given all the construction and movement on the beach. And I just want to thank each of you for that, because as you mentioned, your president mentioned, the beach is not only a source of revenue, but a source of pride and something that each of us enjoy, and numerous people come and visit, and our residents use each day. So I want to thank you and each of your members for both units for all of the service you do for our community. And with that, I proudly vote yes.
I echo my fellow council members. There's no secret that our community loves our lifeguards and how valuable you are to our community. So for my family and for everyone, for the rest of the residents that can't be here, we thank you, and I vote yes.
And four is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding which modifies, amends, and extends the collective bargaining agreement between the Long Beach Civil Service Employees Association Lifeguard Officers Unit and the city of Long Beach. Just move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Since I want to get through this meeting, without John Mooney yelling at me about the CSCA vote, I happily vote yes.
Yes.
Vice President Diamond.
Yes.
President Aramo.
Thank you again, I vote yes.
Finally, item 5 is a resolution authorizing the publication for hearing of refund bond ordinance of the city of Long Beach, New York, authorizing the refunding of all or a portion of certain outstanding serial bonds from said city, stating the plan of refunding, appropriating, and issuance of $12,200,000 refunding bonds of said city or so much thereof as may be necessary to finance said appropriation and making certain determinations, all relative thereto. Board, introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Diamond.
Yes.
President Aramo.
Yes.
Who makes a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
I just wanted to say that today, Dr. Martin Luther King would have celebrated his 90th birthday. And so the fact that we just approved the contract, that's something that he's good for in terms of being there for the rights of workers. And with that, I vote yes.
Vice President Diamond.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Councilwoman Moore for reminding us of that. I vote yes. Okay, we enter our good and welfare portion this evening. Last week, there were some questions, all of which were answered, but there was one specific question that was asked, and it was in relation to police arrests and stops on New Year's Eve. The police department on New Year's Eve made 8 arrests, and one of those was a DWI. All right, so remind everyone you have 3 minutes of uninterrupted time. If you have questions, we will try and answer them when you're finished with your 3 minutes, or we will try and answer them at the following meeting. Ms. Kathleen O'Leary. Good evening.
Hi. Kathleen O'Leary, Long Beach. First, I'd like to congratulate Nissa for being our Renaissance woman. She teaches, she's on city council, and she just published a book.
Thank
So
you.
it's
Thank you so very
impressive.
much. Thank you. Thank
The 2 things I'd like to speak about are what we're losing with the Long Beach Medical Center replacement, and also the idea of electing a mayor for Long Beach. The things that we're losing under the new plan are, there is no drug treatments there. We are the epicenter for the opioid addiction in this area. We used to have a methadone clinic. South Nassau has no clinic and has no treatment beds. Another thing we're losing is outpatient dialysis for seniors. We're losing inpatient hospital services, which we've done without for 6 years. We're losing mental health services. All of our people here who are in private practice are overwhelmed by the number of patients they have. And a lot of people are going to South Nassau, but they're bragging about that, but that's only because we have nothing here. We also are losing direct ambulance service for heart attack and stroke. And we're going to have a CT scanning, but no MRI. And if anyone knows about emergency situations, very often there's a CT scan done first, followed by an MRI. So if you need that, you're gonna have to be transported a second time to Oceanside. 13% of the patients that go to, I call it the toy hospital over here, have to be transported to Oceanside. They, in addition to getting 174 million of our FEMA money, they got 20 million, which they used to rehab the West Wing, which is empty. Okay? In addition, they've gotten 20 million from the merger of Mount Sinai. And when we had the little meeting in the library, I told them I knew what their fundraising figure was and asked them, why don't they do some fundraising to give us a real facility that conforms to the 500-year height requirement, or hurricane requirement. So I would like to just remind people that this is what we're looking at, which is really like a bunch of nothing. Okay?
Thank you.
Can't talk about that.
As I said, we're gonna follow up with Oceanside, with South Nassau, and see if they're gonna have that night meeting.
I'm sorry?
To see if they're gonna have that meeting in the evening. You were able to make it a daytime.
Yeah,
So we're waiting to hear if
Yeah.
they're gonna have,
the morning
when it's gonna
meeting,
be.
it didn't go well for them, let's put it that way. I don't think they're in a rush to do the nighttime meeting.
Thank you. Mr. J. Guslo.
I'm at decline, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Guslo. Mr. Roy Lester.
I'm at decline, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. Ms. Liz Trustin.
Liz Freshman, Long Beach.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Just a couple of questions as we move forward in 2019. First, I can't help but notice the change in our security. What prompted this? Second, I watched the COA stream, and although I am currently blocked by our city council's president, his statements made the social media round that our questions would be answered the following meeting. Will this include many of the unanswered questions from the last few years, or will we be starting from scratch? There are a number of questions that were asked at the meeting with no agenda that were not answered this evening. With no disrespect to our current public relations head, why was there no visible information about the only day to grieve city taxes? And to follow up, why is there only one day to grieve our city taxes? Residents have expressed confusion on assessment. Is it possible to have a meeting to explain the assessment and grievance process like the county does? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trustin. I see our assessors here. Would you like to speak to the grievance question?
Sure.
Thank you. Larry Clammer, our tax assessor.
Good evening. Actually, today is grievance day. Every municipality in the state has one day for grievance day where the assessor or the board of assessor review meets with residents who want to protest their assessor. Grievance period is, and always has been for at least the past 20 so years, the first Tuesday to the third Tuesday of January. About 2.5 weeks, just like most other municipalities in the state. I meet with residents all the time. I met with civic associations. So my office is always available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question, for the grievance process, it's done during normal business hours,
Yes,
so there were no evening hours?
just grievance day, which is right now. I'm actually grievance night right now. Jen is downstairs in case anyone comes in.
Okay.
President Rom, can you just speak to the other question with respect to the change in security?
I'll let the police commissioner respond.
Yes, the meetings have been getting very unruly, so I was just concerned, and they will be secure.
Thank you.
And Ms. Trustin, we reviewed the questions that were asked in the previous meeting, and all seem to have been answered, including Mr. Verone asked a whole bunch about the audit, that Mr. Tagny, I think that was where the most substantive questions were, and Mr. Tagny had answered all those questions. He answered the questions that evening. Mr. James Kirkland. Thank you, Mr. Kirkland. Ms. Allison Blanchett. Good evening.
Allison Blanchett. I'm also locked from your personal page. Any reason why?
Please finish your 3 minutes.
It's a clear violation of my First Amendment rights. There's over a dozen of us that are locked. I just think you should step down.
Thank you, Ms. Blanchett. Mr. Sam Pinto. Good evening.
Dan Pinto, Long Beach, wearing 2 hats for tonight. First, as the president of Long Beach Professional Firefighters, I want to commend the city and the lifeguard associations negotiating teams for coming to a resolution on their contract. To reiterate, the firefighters union is willing to still sit with the city and try to negotiate our contract, which has not been renewed over the last 8 years. We look forward to working with you and hope for the best. Second, on behalf of Eastbourne Civic, we've been publicizing the January 28th Edwards Boulevard update. We appreciate that session. There's a few other things going on that night, including a really good presentation by Long Beach Aware on the dangers of vaping with our teenagers. So we just want to ask and see if there's another night or nights that are going to be presented for updates on this Edwards Boulevard revitalization. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any other plans for the additional Edwards meetings? It's just the one night, right?
As of now, it's the one night.
Okay, well, we'll see how the community responds, and if enough folks come, we'll go from there, but your point is well taken, Mr. Pinto, thank you. Michael Delory. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Happy New Year. Congratulations on your book, Councilman. I just have 5 topics. What's the update on the construction design of the lifeguard headquarters? Will it be ready this year? Number 2, the water main break or sewer break. It's a public situation on Riverside Boulevard. I guess it's north of Hudson Street or Fulton. I'm sure it wasn't in the budget. The effect on the budget, the financial impacts to the taxpayer, and so on. Number three, where are we within the budget this year? It's a 6-month mark. Just a brief update. I know I'm not going to get the answers tonight. I don't expect that, but as far as I understand it, questions asked tonight will be answered at the following meeting.
If we can answer them now, we will.
Okay. City manager status, interviews, how many people have you interviewed? How many meetings have you had to interview potential candidates? Where are you in that process? And do you expect a city manager to be hired before this fiscal year ends? The last question I have is, there was a $5 million grant that Senator Kaminsky had put forth towards the Financial Restructuring Board. I'm sure there's a process that you have to undertake, benchmarks, and so on and so forth. I don't expect an answer tonight, but if you could give me, the taxpayers, where we are, whatever you can disclose, I think it would be appreciated, because that will have an impact on this year's budget, I'm sure. So that's all my questions for tonight, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Delory. So in regards to the Financial Review Board that Senator Kaminsky assisted us in pointing us in that direction, I believe we're waiting for their recommendations. And then based on their recommendations, they say, we suggest you do this, and if you do, we'll give you $50,000. We suggest you do this, and if you do, we'll give you $1 million. And depending on which of their recommendations you follow, you receive the grant money. But it's my understanding we haven't received the report yet.
No, we have not received reports. We've been going back and forth just about weekly for the last month with the individuals from the FRB. They request information, clarification, and respond to that. Currently, we have no requests outstanding, and they filled in all the boxes, as Mr. Powell said, and they will start writing the report. Unfortunately, we're timed with the development of the state budget, so we're going to go on the back burner, so we do anticipate the report by March. There is not a $5 million grant, there's a possibility that they will fund their recommendation to accept them.
Right.
It could be bonus.
It's not necessarily grants, it could be one.
Which, okay, his other question was about the budget, we're on target.
Yes, I did a budget review the first week of January, and we spent just about 50% of the budget, which is through the 6 months or half a year, so we are right on target.
Can this information be shared with the public? Yeah, the status, like where we are.
Yeah, there's many departments, we're just about at 50% when we get the report from the department.
Related to that, section 20 of the charter says it'll be the duty of the city manager to communicate to the council soon after the first of each year is practical, complete report on the finances and administrative activities of the city for the preceding year. Are we going to be getting that?
Yes.
We didn't get one last year. I'm just wondering when we might see it this year.
By the end of the month.
Okay. And then just one other thing, sort of related, Judge, I was nerding out on some of this stuff. It also requires the city comptroller to provide monthly statements of the financial condition of the city to the council. We also haven't been getting those. Can we start getting those?
I will work on that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Miranda, can you speak to the lifeguard headquarters and the sewer collapse on Riverside? Thank you.
Okay, first on the life headquarters, that probably will not get done this summer. We'll know the bathrooms at Neptune and New York, because the Army Corps project has slowed down a lot. They will be building the crossovers during the course of the winter. We hope those will be in first at Neptune in New York once they're in, and we get approval from the state to proceed with the building of bathrooms and move out to bid for them. Likely not going to see them this summer, but I would be hopeful that we see them for the following year. As far as the sewer main collapse on Riverside, we had got approval to do a cured-in-place lining. When you do a cured-in-place lining, the first thing you have to do is clean the line out, go in and TV the line. We started to go in to clean the line out, and we've experienced several major breaks in the line. We did replace a short section so that we could try to get the camera in. We got in about 35 feet, and we found another major collapse. So presently, the Department of Public Works has put together a bid to do open trench cut and replacement. There is a 48-inch drain next to this sewer main, which is going to make it, would make it quite expensive. So we're going to move this outside of the drain line. We're going to run a manhole to the west, and we're going to run a line parallel to the 48-inch drain, so we don't do any damage to the drain pipe. But this should reduce the cost of replacing this. We do have about $400,000 in sewer replacement budget that was approved this year. In addition, we just realized the savings of about $90,000 on the West Market job that we can apply to this. So this job is probably going to be somewhere in the $400,000 to $500,000 range.
And in terms of the lifeguard headquarters, we're gonna just get a trailer again for them this season?
Yeah, we'll have to do the trailer routine again this year. So, but we do have a really exciting design on the lifeguard headquarters, and I think we've made it a lot more attractive, so.
I know. Thank you. Mr. John McNally. Good evening.
Good evening, all. John McNally, 613 West Walnut Street. Congrats again, Nessa. I was
Congratulations to
originally,
you and your family.
thank you. I was originally really skeptical about the new format or re-envisioned or put a corrected format for open welfare, but since we seem to be making good on answering questions, either at the meeting itself or the subsequent meeting, I think it's a real opportunity to clear the air and maybe some of the frustration that even we on the other side of the podium have had in not getting answers, questions. So if this is a process and mechanism for that, that's great. Along those lines, I'm going to ask for a couple of updates and go through a sort of greatest hits of questions that, to my knowledge, have not been answered to date. So similar to what you just did, I had Financial Restructuring Board on there. You gave an update on that. Could you also give an update on where we are with New York State Controller's audit? Also, has anyone looked into the allegations of due time that were repeatedly brought up, and whether or not that is legal or not for the exempts? If so, if yes, not, what's the outcome of that bid? Has the administration made a determination on whether or not the questionable payouts were proper or not, and what those limits and percentages were? If they have or haven't, has the council been provided, so what's the outcome of that? Has the council been provided with a copy of Corporation Counsel ISDC's employment contract as requested by Councilman Bendo? Does the council and or Corporation Counsel acknowledge that the caucus meetings held between 2012 and 2018, where all council members were of the same party, were in fact in violation of open meeting laws? Similarly, or as a reaction to that, does the council have any intentions of conducting open working meetings, as is common amongst most other elected bodies, so that the public is afforded an opportunity to observe its deliberative process? Similarly, if you guys aren't holding such meetings now, I think it helps us get along, move the ball along a little bit better, and have a little bit more of a mission behind what it seemed to be something of a rudderless direction of the ship this year. Did anyone follow up on the allegations that were made over the last couple of meetings of DOT violations? What was the outcome of that? Do we have an update on the search for a city manager? Is the council in agreement to decouple public hearings from votes so we don't have quite the same contentious and the board is on the spot, as I've asked several times? To one of today's questions, so how many people did actually grieve their taxes with the city today? And then a little editorial on my part of the city's social media has sort of fallen over itself, rightfully so, to say that they won a case against iStar. I would love to see Jim Kirkman and others that were involved in the Kirkman proceeding get awarded a citation of some sort for queuing that up and making it possible
So we'll try and answer some of that stuff. But the one exception I would have to take is the rudderless ship. I think Commissioner Tagny has done an outstanding job this year and has gone over and above. So I take exception to you saying it is a rudderless ship. Mr. Ron Paganini.
Can I answer anything else? Can I answer anything?
Okay.
One second, Ron, explain.
There was a lot of questions there, so Mr. Paganini, if you wanted to sit down, I'll try and answer some of these.
The controls audit is in full swing. They, again, similar to what the state has, sent all the information up to them. In addition, as far as due time, I don't know anything about due time. I've never used due time. I've never approved due time. And as far as the payouts go, we're waiting the district attorney's office to do an investigation, as well as the state controller. So when we hear back from them and their investigation is closed, with the recommendation they make, we'll be going along with that. I said repeatedly, we searched the city manager's office and the corporation counsel's office. Biggest thing I can see that part two is not in this building. As far as the DOT violations that were alleged at the last meeting, there were some very minor violations. They all, over 90% of them dealt with drivers reporting and not safety of the buses. No buses were taken out of service at any time in both the 2011 and the current audit. And as far as the city manager search, there was a company that made a proposal, and there is a questionnaire of the requirements, and the council is now working on getting those together.
And in terms of the open meeting law, you said something about 2012 to 2018 violating. It's not a violation if everyone is of the same party.
No, it is a violation of everybody. But just close. You know,
You don't know what you're talking about, you probably stepped
May
out.
I?
No, I'm sorry, not.
But yeah, it.
I thought you meant something else, okay. Okay. Mr. Paganini.
Ron Paganini, Long Beach. Is there any news on the out-of-control employee in the garage? Any news on it? What's going on? No.
Just please finish your time.
All right. In order to reassure the head of the city council, Mr. Ramo, that I have no threat to him or anyone in this room at any time, I will promise not to show my frustrations out loud anymore, even though your take on the incident was not truly correct. Let's get back to the city garage and the out-of-control boss. What I list next reflects on Mr. Robinson, the assistant city manager's incompetence and his ability to discipline his insubordinate out-of-control boss of the garage. Number one, right now, main entrance garage door, the city garage broke for a month. Can't get in, can't get out. Fix it. Two, city property cameras were ripped down and destroyed by Boston Garage. That's an old thing. Nobody cares anyway. Blown engines on new vehicles due to no maintenance, heavy cost to the city. Sanitation fleet of trucks totally destroyed. Still down 6 trucks out of 12. Sending out to private shops to fix. Lots of money. Fire trucks still being sent to private shops. Lots of money. City garage shut down fall of 2018, 6 weeks, due to fleet infestation. Did you know that? Lots of money to exterminate. Also, fell way behind in their work. Retired ex-boss Mr. Ritter, brought back to manage shop, cost $38,000. Mr. Ritter gets sick. An older, well-seasoned mechanic takes over for Ritter. Is there now, managing and fixing for out of title pay. More money, okay. Other outside shops bringing equipment to private shops. More money. Buses constantly breaking down, not passing inspections. It's a safety thing. Okay, 11, no working money machines for 6 years in the buses. Mr. Robinson had canceled a standing order in 2012 for new machines. Okay, still no machines now, 5 years. Money lost, I figured about $5 per shift, which I'm really low, and I calculated for 6 years. Mr. Robinson cost us $101,400, and I'm low on that, because we can't calculate when people put the money in the machine, it just goes right through. Okay, why, how was the question I know? All right, let's get to the 12, last one. The out-of-control boss who only does a small amount of paperwork with his part-time secretary girlfriend, who neither have signed in and out for 5 years, who do the payroll for the shop, could be charged with theft of service.
Thank you,
Easily.
Mr. Pagini.
No contest, city has very strict policy, Mr. Agostino, on signing in and signing out.
Thank you.
The union warned him many times on the issue, stating that if he
Your time
doesn't
is up,
sign
Mr.
in, he'll be
Pagini.
terminated.
Your time
He's
is up.
terminated, 1 second, we
It's been
hired
many
2
seconds.
mechanics.
Your time is up, sir.
All right, I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, I hope you get back to me on this.
We
You
will
said,
look into
Mr.
it.
Ramo, you would.
I said we will look into it. I did.
Hurry up.
And the one thing I do know is that buses have not failed inspection.
They did fail.
That, they have not.
Mr. Ramo.
Mr. Phil Schleich.
No.
I'm sorry, sir, your time is up, but our buses have not failed
Why did
inspection.
you get the last word?
Because your time is up. I'm sorry. Good evening.
Good evening, Phil Schlitz, Long Beach. Congratulations, Councilwoman Moore. I look forward to reading your book.
Thank you.
Now, the meetings have been getting a lot better since City Council President Alvaro had stated what meeting is supposed to, the tempo and the abuse. And I think that's very helpful. Now, Councilman Lendo, I think that the problem is math. There are 5 council people. That's 4 and 1. 4 are Democrat and you are not. And so 4 of them vote, you vote, you have the right to vote. I don't know why we have a problem with the city council manager vote. I blame you.
There's no problem, Mr. Schlitz.
Okay. Okay.
Please direct your comments to
Okay.
the whole body. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's not a problem. I would like to see the result at the next meeting, so, that's one thing. Now, I can't think of her name, she criticized and said that our president should, resign.
My name is Allison Blanchett.
Okay, Allison Bissett, I think that, lady president, of the United States, that's a different issue. Seriously, she, I believe, lost an election. Okay, and she got very few votes, so her coming here, we're supposed to think positive, we're supposed to get something going this year, and I hope we do, because that's what we're here for the people. And I think our city manager has done a great job, and I hope that issue works out. We'll have a police commissioner too, and I do have more stuff to say, but due to lack of time and lack of respect. And that's what President Obama was trying to get across. Give people respect who come here and stand, who pay taxes, and would like the city to go in a different direction than criticizing. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schlitz. This team, please, everyone, please, hold on, Mr. Fiore.
Yeah, just give me one moment. Regarding the city manager search, I don't think this was asked twice. The acting city manager gave an answer, but let me just clarify so it was clear. The city is bringing in an executive search firm that specializes in finding municipal leaders. I believe they're under contract now. I'm not here. Oh, okay. The contract was ready last month.
I have to send the contract, a signed, executed contract along with the parameters.
Okay, well, anyway, we're bringing in an executive search firm that laid out a very detailed timeline and process for how they will help us find the city manager. It will be a very structured process that should yield some very good results in a very defined time. Regarding the Corporation Council's separation agreement, I got in touch with the governor's, the state comptroller's office, and they informed me that the city did in fact provide a copy of that agreement. So I'm not sure where I'm not getting accurate information from, whether it's coming from the city or from the office of the state comptroller. And then finally, regarding, there was a comment, I guess, about open meeting laws, and I just may as well say it now, because this is something a couple of council members have been talking about. Councilwoman Moore and I are going to start holding open meetings to discuss some city business. Of course, we're going to invite the other council members to participate. It will be their decision if they want to do that. So just keep an eye open for maybe on Facebook for the announcements and when we'll start those meetings so we can interact with the public.
Is now on topic? Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
Dean
along.
Fiore, yes.
Well, there's a number of questions that have already been asked tonight, such as the city manager, controller, hire a research firm. So it's nice to hear that there's, at least that there's some progress being made in those regards. So just some additional questions. When will applications for new boards and commissions for 2019 happen? I think that looking at some of those boards and commissions, they should be open to the public. They should not be necessarily straight up appointees, and maybe it's time for a little bit of newness, a little bit of change, a little bit of vision. The question on, I know it's come up previously, as far as the presidency and the annual change to the presidency has been what was done in the past. If there's no change, there's no change, but that should be answered once and for all. I believe is a question that's been asked multiple times. Separation pays, controller, investigations, all of that. Okay. There was also recently some FOIL requests made regarding take-home cars and the city's fleet. I find this as somebody who comes out of corporate America where we have fleets of cars. That is something that should be tracked. We should know where, who has, how they're being used, et cetera. So when somebody foiled it was not me, but when it was foiled, we should definitely have an idea of who's driving what, where, how much, and how much it's costing us. And is it necessary? And why are we driving maybe SUVs versus smart cars these days? Just the last thing I want to talk about is there was a loss in the community as recently. Her name was Kathy Perone. Those people who have been in City Hall for many years will know that Kathy Perone started her job here at 18 years old. Her service was held recently this past weekend. She was a city employee. She ran the tax department for probably close to 40 years. My mother made a call this past week to the city, tried to get in, I'm sorry, Ms. Tabney, but tried to get in touch with you. She called the main number, she called the police department, she called 4 or 5 times. As I was standing there, I've never witnessed the response on the telephones from the people that answer the phones in this, whether it's here or in the police department. My father was a retired cop for almost 25 years. I've never seen an elderly woman spoken to the way she was. And if she wasn't spoken to, she was hung up on. I reached out, I asked her to hang up the phone. I think it's important that you know this because this is what we're presenting to this residents. I called, I got transferred to your office to somebody who works in your office. Everything, she was gonna talk to you, she was gonna get back to me, that never happened. Her funeral mass has happened. But I think it was very terrible that she was not acknowledged, nor was the flag flown at half-mast in her name. So I would like to think that in the future, when we reach out to our elected officials, that they are not treated, that the residents are not spoken to or disregarded in that matter. And I think the city should do something to acknowledge Kathy Brodie's passing.
Thank you, Mr. Roy.
But I left a message on your cell phone on Friday.
I'll show you my phone. So I don't know what number it is. I waited.
And the only one that can authorize the lowering of the president of the governor.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Fiore. Right.
I believe you called me.
Yes, Ms. Madeline Topper.
I have something to give back to the Good evening and Happy New Year. Senator Reynolds had a vision for Long Beach. I thought that Long Beach had something special. So he built homes with Spanish tile roofs and built various style homes here. Now I have a vision. I think that Long Beach is something special. It has the Atlantic Ocean, the sea breezes. It is thought by many as the healthiest city. I was asked by the city council in 1996 my thoughts about the superblock, and I told them that this would make a great spa town. There is a spa town in Europe. It's known as Baden-Baden. There is no reason why Long Beach couldn't be known as a spa town of America. I am handing out some information to you about Baden-Baden. I would suggest that this board look into feasibility of doing this. Years ago, I remember a large saltwater pool at the ocean front. The gentleman who built Granada Towers built it because his wife suffered from asthma. So he bought the house so that she would have a place to enjoy her last years. Think about what makes this into a spa town. It would do an unbelievable thing for this town, for the people who live here. This would be special because Long Beach is special.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this
So I'd like
information.
to look at what I've given you, and really would like some input to get back from you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Topper. That's it for this evening. I'd like to thank everyone for being here, participating, and get home safely. Thank you.
So